I could go back to my 20s and have the courage to do what took me a long time to do. Here's what I would say to anybody listening to this podcast. If you feel like the shirt that we call life doesn't fit, it doesn't fit for some reason, fail forward, take chances, do whatever it is that you need to do, because you won't be risking very much. And the truth is, even now at 55, I'm not risking very much. It's
You look
okay.
amazing.
Oh,
50
thank
where?
you.
I say
But
50 where?
50,
50
55,
where? What do you
55
mean?
and fabulous.
Oh. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my podcast. Today I have a wonderful, wonderful woman, Rhea Campbell. I'm going to let her introduce herself. Hi, Rhea. How are you?
Hi, Fatu. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see you again and to be on here. What an honor. Thank you so much. An honor and a privilege to be here.
It's an honor to have you here for sure. So for my audience who do not know who you are, can you tell them who is Rhea Campbell?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Rhea. I am a real estate professional. So I've been in commercial real estate for the last 20 years. I'm in Chicago. I've got skyscrapers behind me. I live downtown with my husband, Alex. We've been married for coming up on 20 years, and we have a 15-year-old son. And I am also an investor and a fundraiser. I'm actually launching a debt and equity fund. So I'm a multidisciplinary entrepreneur, I guess you would say.
My God, amazing, amazing. So can you tell me how did you start? How did you know you wanted to be in real estate and, in the commercial world? How did that journey start?
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't actually know that. So let me go back 34 years. Graduated high school, went to college. And when I came out of college, I started working in the hospitality industry. So I started my career with Hyatt Hotels and Resorts in Palm Springs, California. I'm a Canadian, but I was in the United States on a J2 visa. I went to school in the United States at Southern New Hampshire University. And I started my career out of college with the Hyatt Grand Champions in Palm Springs as catering convention services manager. Actually, I started as assistant banquet manager, but I wasn't very good at it. And then moved into more catering convention services, which was more my forte, and worked in a variety of different luxury hotels. So I was in both operations and in management. So I was with Hyatt, Four Seasons, and Fairmont Hotels and Resorts. So I did that for about a decade. I have always been an entrepreneur, but I didn't know it. And so working in the hotel industry, I always felt a little frustrated because I was never charting my own path, right? I was never blazing my own trail. And I had all these ideas and wanted to do things sort of my way. And of course, in luxury hotels, the way that they get the kind of experience that the guests get is that you follow a very strict set of protocols. So, did that for 10 years and it never really sort of felt like it fit. I felt like I should be doing something else, but I really didn't, because my father was the CEO of a drug company. And so he worked for 32 years, worked his way up through the ranks. And so
Right,
in my family, that was what you did, right? You went, you got a
right,
good job, you had a nice office, you wore a suit, and you worked for a big brand name company. So
right.
that's the path I chose because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. But it was like wearing a shirt that didn't fit. It never fit. And I couldn't figure out why I always felt frustrated. It's because I was a frustrated entrepreneur that really needed to spread my wings and go out on
Yes.
my own.
Wow, amazing. So you crushed some paradigms there, right? For sure. So how was that breaking through? Like, you know what? This is not for me. I know there's something else for me. So how was that process for you?
Yeah. I'll tell you, it was really scary, right? So like I'm, in my 20s and I'm, a professional woman and I'm working and I'm earning good money. And from all appearances on the outside, I look successful, right? I wear
Right.
suits. I have a nice office. Everybody's proud of me, but
Right.
I don't feel like it fits.
Right.
right? So such an odd feeling. And so, I had to gain the courage. I had to grow into the kind of person that had the courage to actually walk away from something like that. Right. That was incredibly difficult. But I'll tell you, Fatu, here's what's really interesting. I actually come from a family that does have entrepreneurs in it. My mom was an entrepreneur. My mom was in real estate years ago. So she was a real estate agent. She also sold Mary Kay. She's a mom of 3 kids. My mom just recently died. But
Sorry.
thank you. Yeah, it's
Oof.
okay. She had a great end. So she was an entrepreneur. And I watched her building her business and spreading her wings and taking chances. And in fact, back in the 80s, she owned a high-end women's clothing store that I worked for, right? She built it from scratch. So, like, if you think about it, I had the
Yeah.
template. It was my mom. I just needed to kind of follow what she was doing. So in my 30s, I kind of had this moment where I was like, it's now or never. It was early 30s. It's now
It's
or
now
never.
or never. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, that's amazing. So sorry to hear about your mom,
Thank you.
Um, you said she was definitely you had the roots from her, right? The entrepreneur. You watch her sell Mary Kay and try at all these businesses. Owning a store is huge, especially back then for a woman, right? So, and then you watch all of that, but you had it hidden deep down, right? And then it was just finally now or never. Let me just do it now, or I'm going to stay like this forever. So that took some courage, I'm sure. So how did your parents take it at that time? Because I know sometimes they might not be so happy, for you to like do a big career shift, right? So
Yeah.
how did they take that? How did your family take it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So at the time I was married, I married, my husband's name is Alex, and he's a physician. And so he had a very stable W-2 job. Now, his father, who was an absolutely wonderful man, he's deceased now as well, he was in commercial real estate. And he said, oh, you should be in commercial real estate. Now, long story, when I transitioned out of the hotel industry, I went to trade futures on the floor of the Mercantile Exchange. I traded futures in open outcry, the pits where you see nine
Yeah.
half bid. That's
Yes.
what I did with my own money on the
Wow.
floor of the Mercantile Exchange. So there were only 2 women in my pit. I was one of them. Very entrepreneurial. I went from, corporate to extreme entrepreneurialism. Unfortunately, I got to the trading floor a little bit too late. At the time, Globex was taking over more of the global trade, the world
Hmm.
trade, and it was becoming more and more difficult to make money. And I actually lost money. So I left the trading floor. Now, my father in law said, oh, you should look at commercial real estate. It would be great for you. He was a commercial real estate professional. He did tenant rep himself.
Hmm.
And I said to him, what I know about real estate is like real estate agents. Like, I don't want to be a real estate agent. That's not for me. Because I thought, oh, showing people beautiful houses. Do I want pink
Right,
walls or blue
right.
walls?
That's
I
not
didn't,
for me,
that's
right?
not for me. And what was interesting is he gave me a deal. He had a consulting deal, and he sort of said, "Here, read this." And I looked at this deal and I read through it, and I thought, "Oh, that's fascinating. That's for me." And so he's the one who actually opened doors for me. And then I said to him, "Why don't I come and work for you?" And he said, "Don't be ridiculous. You go and work for some of the largest commercial real estate firms in the world, and you learn everything you need to, and you'll either love it and stay, or you'll leave and you'll start your own company." And I thought, oh, that's an interesting idea. So he opened doors for me. Um, I went and interviewed with 3 or 4 of the largest commercial real estate firms in the world and started my career with CB Richard Ellis back in 2002. So a long time ago.
Wow. Amazing story. I think sometimes you just need somebody that will push you in the right direction, right? And that's what he was for you. So that's amazing. So, fast forward, because I know now you run your own company. How did you get to that point of like, I need to start something for myself?
Yeah. So, so I baby stepped into entrepreneurialism because really I was working for CB Richard Ellis, which was it is really entrepreneurial because essentially you work for yourself, but you still have this flag of this large corporate company behind you. So you're sort of half in, half out of like the corporate world. But the
Hmm.
reality is you live on commissions, right? I am a tenant representation professional. So I represent occupiers of office space. And A or B quality class assets around the world. And so I went to go work for CB, and I learned everything that I needed to learn there, which was a wonderful experience. But as I looked around and I gained more confidence with my own kind of entrepreneurial, experience, I started to realize, like, I feel like I can do it better than what I'm doing here.
That's
And
right.
again, it's like that feeling I had all my life, like the shirt doesn't fit. The shirt doesn't
Right.
fit. Why doesn't this shirt fit? I need the
Yeah.
shirt to fit. That's
You
exactly
haven't
how
found it yet.
I
Yeah.
haven't found it yet. And so 5 years in, I went to go talk to the managing director, and I said, look, I think I should make more money. I should have more splits, because you split your commission with the house. And he said, we'll get you next time. We'll talk about it again. We'll talk about it again. And he kept kicking the can down the road. And I thought, he's never going to talk about it with me. And
Right.
so my husband is the one who really pushed me. I finally came home one day,
Love
and he
it.
said to me, Rhea, it's now or never, babe. Like, go
Love
for it.
it.
And I was like, oh, you think I should? I was terrified, right? And so he pushed me, because he had a great W-2 job at the University of Chicago. Like, we really had very little risk. We're very fortunate. We had very little risk. So I struck out. I stepped out of the corporate world. I started my own company, Bellaterra Partners. We've been in operations since 2008. I had a client that came with me. I was not allowed. I had a non-compete, non-solicitation. I was not allowed to talk with them, but my clients were allowed to do whatever they wanted. And actually, every single one of my clients came with me.
Amazing.
And so I just feel incredibly fortunate, because
Yeah.
I stepped out and had instant income with the clients that actually came with me.
That says something about the job that you did with them, right? For them to follow you in. So that's amazing. Now, I'm gonna touch on your husband pushing you, right? So how amazing is it to have like a partner that's supportive, that will push you to your limit? Like, can we just explore on that? Because I think it's so important, right?
Yes.
Um, if what if he wasn't supportive, right? Would you have branched out? Maybe not. So how is that dynamic?
Yeah. Well, funny story for you. So for years, I would say to him, so he was a professor and a physician at the University of Chicago, and he ran the primary care group there for many, many years. He did a bunch of other things there as well. And at the end of his career, he ran student and health services. So for the 12,000 student body at the University of Chicago. And I used to say to him all the time, boy, your skills are wasted here, because you would be a great entrepreneur. You should start your own company. And he was like, Rhea, I mean, I have this fantastic job. I've been here for 30, 28 years. I mean, whatever the amount of time was, a very long time. So I stepped out. I started my own company and ran my company for years. And then he started to think much more entrepreneurial. And I was really starting to support that. So he supported me because he had a great W-2 job. So we had no risk, right? We were raising a young child at the time. We had a mortgage. We had all sorts of things that you have
Right.
when you're sort of raising kids and owning homes and all those other good things. And so there was very little risk. And then my business was actually building up. And then I was starting to say to him, you should start your own business. And what ended up happening was he stepped out of the University of Chicago and he started his own business back in 2015.
Wow.
And I carried us for a couple of years, because you don't make money in the first couple of years. So
Right, right.
he carried me for the first 2 years financially. And then I carried him for the first, several years financially. So we were able to trade off that kind of entrepreneurial startup,
It's amazing.
which was amazing. But
Yeah.
ultimately, I will tell you, Fatu, just to get back to the heart of your question. Yeah, absolutely. You have to have a partner that supports the wild hair that you get, whether it is
Yes.
to right to start investing, to start a new company, whatever that may be. You have to have that support. And we've been married for 20 years, and marriage is really a compromise. It's my turn to do this. It's your turn to do this. What do
Yes.
you need? What do I need?
Yes.
And you have to be an adult. Put your big girl pants on and figure out how to show up and, support your husband, or put your big boy pants on and have your husband
Yeah.
show up and support you. Right?
Love, love, love that advice. I only been married for 10, so this is very much good, needed advice. It's I love that how the partnership, right? It's like it's in tune, it's in sync, because you knew when he needed to be pushed, right? And then he knew when you needed to be pushed out of your comfort zone. So that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So now can you tell us about your company? Because I do want people to know the amazing stuff that you do on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, sure. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for asking. So, we do what's called tenant representation. We represent occupiers of office space in the acquisition or disposition of that office space. However, so we've done that since 2008. And about 2 years ago, and I have one international client, I handle their entire portfolio around the globe. So I will partner with other brokers in market like New York, Hong Kong, San Francisco, Zurich, and to execute on whatever the strategic vision is. If we are, sometimes that company is acquiring an office, so they'll buy a company and they will acquire all of those assets. So that might be a leased office and it might be all of those employees, and then we'll help them strategically think about how are they going to incorporate all of those employees into one branded office. So we really act as a director of real estate without being on their payroll. But in January of this year, I actually started my journey as an investor. So I am buying properties creatively in my own portfolio. And as a result of that, I've shifted the focus a little bit. Now, I still handle that one main client, but I do not take on any new business. And I have not for probably 2 years.
Okay.
And hopefully this doesn't go live before I talk to my client, but I am actually going to step out completely of tenant representation and focus solely on investments.
Amazing. Amazing. And that's another step in your journey, right? Because you
Yes.
think it's time. It's like the new version of Rhea. I love how it's okay to change, right? It's you're supposed to evolve, right? And if something you feel that restlessness of like, I need to shift focus, and then you absolutely go for it. That's amazing. Absolutely love that. So now, you mentioned you're a mom, you have a son. So how has it been for, what do you think? Does he have the entrepreneurial bug? Like, is he inspired by everything mommy's doing? Like, how is that working out? He's watching. They
Yeah.
watched. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, my kid, he's amazing. He's just amazing. So he, they come out stamped a certain way, right? You
Yeah.
get to guide and shape a little bit of it, but you kind of get what you get and you don't get upset.
Oh
This
my
is
God. That's I love that phrase. That's what my daughter says all the time. You get what you get and you don't get upset.
and
And
you
I love
shape
it.
and mold a little bit of their journey, but
Yeah,
really you're just there to put some guardrails on, like, gosh, I hope they don't go too far this way or too far that way.
right.
So my son is a total self-starter. He's really like his dad. He's very intelligent. He's a self-starter. We've never had to look at his homework. He already has a very clear vision. He wants to go to MIT.
Love it.
He's very very academic, and yes, he does have the entrepreneurial spirit. I don't think he's interested in starting a company quite yet. He's
Right.
15,
Right.
but no matter what it is that he does, he can lead and manage it. So whether he's going to be a coder or an engineer or an aerospace engineer or an investor, he will be the leader of whatever it is he does, because that's just naturally who he is. So I
He
feel,
got it from his
knock on wood,
mama.
I feel very fortunate because I don't really have to do much. He just kind of goes off in his direction and I'm just
I
there to
love
like
it.
support him.
That's amazing, Rhea. You
Yeah,
must be very proud of him.
I am.
We're proud of him here at only 15, and you can see that trailblazing, right? That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So to wrap things up here before, what is one advice you would tell your younger self?
Oh gosh. If I could go back to my 20s and have the courage to do what took me a long time to do, here's what I would say to anybody listening to this podcast. If you feel like the shirt that we call life doesn't fit, it doesn't fit for some reason, fail forward, take chances, do whatever it is that you need to do, because you won't be risking very much. And the truth is, even now at 55, I'm not risking very much. It's
You look
okay.
amazing.
Oh,
50
thank
where?
you.
I say
But
50 where?
50,
50
55,
where? What do you
55
mean?
and fabulous is what I like
Yes,
to
for
say.
sure.
But here's what I would say. I would say it's never too late to take a chance, to change your life, to make a decision, to pivot, to do whatever it is, whether it's I want to get in shape, I want to be a better wife, a better mother, a better investor, a better entrepreneur. I want to have a
Love it.
larger circle of friends. I want to travel the world. It doesn't matter what it is. And what I've learned is, and it's taken me a while, right? I am a huge risk taker because here's the reality, Fatu. I am never going to go hungry and I am never going to be homeless. And so I am already way ahead of most of the world. And if we start to think about, right, the privilege that we have for living in North America, being a white woman born into privilege, I'm already successful. And so it doesn't matter what I do. I'm never going to be homeless and I'm never going to go hungry. And when I tell myself those things, I realize I can just shatter any fear that I have and go
You're so
after
amazing.
anything, right? Because
Wow.
it's
Yes.
going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. You made my day. I don't know, but we can wrap it up here because you made my day. One word that would describe you. One word. Or one word your husband would describe you.
Energetic.
I love it. I love the energy. You give out such a positive vibes, right?
Thank you.
Like being around you, it's like I will tell everybody I meet, "Oh my God, that woman is like the most real, down to earth woman I ever met," right? And she is so humble and I thank you for your time. This was amazing. We have to have you back to speak more, on some of the things you hit on. But I tell my audience where they can find you.
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram. I've got my handle. I don't know if that's going to show up. Instagram, it's
Yes.
Rhea Campbell _ORD.
Right.
That's the best place to reach me. And I just want to say thank you, Fatu. I feel
Oh,
so honored and gifted and privileged to meet people like you and others in the investment community that have crossed my path in just the last 9 months. My world has completely opened up to people that I otherwise would never have met. So thank you for letting me into your world, meeting your husband. It's just an honor and a privilege to be connected to people like you.
thank you for being so kind. Like kindness speaks because you're just amazing. That's the best thing I
I
can say.
I
So
got I got that from my mom.
yes, definitely. I'm pretty sure she's proud. And she's very proud of you, and she lived a very good life to
She
have,
should.
what she did. I am so just proud, and it's inspiring to see that at the ending.
Yeah.
So, but thank you so much, Rhea. Guys, thank you for listening in. And Rhea Campbell, you can find her at her IG. It's on the screen. Everybody, see you next time. So I'm gonna end the recording.